items. Plus, I asked Dan to give a little bit of update on what's been going on the regional detention pond down on South Masters and Jordan. We'll get to that in just a second. COVID spreadsheet, this is what I usually provide to y'all. Since the last council meeting, 7,173 total cases. That's up 135 from the last council meeting. 155 confirmed cases, that's down 64 cases since the last council meeting. 28 probable cases, that's up 1 from the last council meeting. And 6,941 recovered cases, that's up 198 since the last council meeting. And no additional deaths from COVID-related issues. Joe Murray, our fire marshal, gave me an update on the KBDI. That's the drought index. As of yesterday, 7/31, the drought index in Brazoria County is 689. That's up since the last council meeting. The last council meeting, it was 640. So it's gone up since the last council meeting. So obviously, a little bit of rain that we've received has helped, but not necessarily done anything on the drought index. The other thing is, Tammy mentioned, you actually have you will have an item on the next council meeting, and with your indulgence, I'll ask her to update you on that.
Please do. So at your next meeting, you will have the vote setting the preliminary tax rate and scheduling the public hearing. You will not be setting the tax rate. It will be the not to exceed. So the number that's proposed by staff, it can go down from that number when you get to the tax rate. It just can't go over that number. So just be prepared. That typically is a higher number just for that sake.
All right, thank you.
And then the last one is an update on the drainage project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Start off with our GIS up here on the boards. Hopefully you can see those okay. Just to kind of set the stage for what we're talking about. This is our city limit line, obviously all that pink area in there. And you're familiar with Chocolate Bayou, that's that watershed down here. This is Mustang Bayou watershed. And then there's this light blue kind of right in the middle. And the reason that's important is because it's not really necessarily tied to a water body, and it's not necessarily maintained by a drainage district. It's what we call AO floodplain, flood zone. And it's problematic, but mainly because when you overlay our thoroughfares, that's Highway 6 right there, right in the middle of the floodplain. Since that's an evacuation route, that is not an ideal place to store your detention or floodplain mitigation water. So as a reminder, the city has purchased land down here, and I'm gonna, let's see, go to this one. We've purchased this property right here down at Jordan and kind of between Meridiana Parkway and Masters. So this is Meridiana Parkway right here. This is Masters. This is Jordan. So we've purchased this property and we've done all the studies. It took a long time for them to model it, but we've got good plans for it now. We've got approved plans through the city and through both drainage districts. You may recall we had a kickoff out there, a groundbreaking, which most of y'all were there. So that was pretty exciting. I was going to zoom in on Larry because this is kind of Larry's project here. But yeah, that was really exciting because we had all 3 drainage districts. For the folks in the audience that don't know, CNR3, BDD4, and BDD5, along with the city of Manvel, of course, were all out there for the groundbreaking. So that's pretty monumental. As far as I know, at least there's never been a groundbreaking like that. I don't know that there's ever been a project. Years ago, we used to have something called the Chocolate Bayou Steering Committee, and it was so zoomed out. It was just about plans, like someday there's going to be something. And so this is the first time we've ever actually turned dirt together. So I haven't seen any of y'all back out there digging, so things are not going as fast as they probably could. Just kidding. So this is a rendering that we put out there the day of the groundbreaking, just to kind of get your bearings. This would be Chocolate Bayou, still going through the property, but with the adequate right-of-way. This pond over here on the west side will stay, for the most part, to stay as a dry pond. The big pond, the big acreage, will have kind of 2 phases. This light blue is where we'll really get all of our detention capacity and floodplain mitigation capacity. So if you can just imagine that the whole thing will go down just right before we get to the groundwater. So it won't be continuously filling up from the ground. Of course, it'll fill up from rainwater. And then the next phase is when hopefully we go out for bids and get sand folks to come out and actually mine all that sand. And then we go down probably 30 feet or so. So that first phase, what CNR3 is telling us, it should only take about a year and a half. I was surprised to hear that, but that's what they told us to plan for. So we've been doing pretty regular drone footage to go out there. Wale's been doing that. If you can kind of picture, this is Meridiana Parkway. Let's see if I can zoom in. This is Meridiana Parkway. We're facing south. That's their pond. They've got a nice little park. I don't know if y'all ever go over there, but it's a nice, I say it's a park. It's a parking lot right now, but it will be a park. And then this is Jordan. So this is our property out here. Now it's kind of looking back towards the east almost. So Masters would be down here. Almost due east. That's Jordan right there. Now back over to the corner. So this is this right here. So everything drains down through C12 and goes ultimately underneath the canal, which is kind of the whole reason for that floodplain. Then it goes down and goes under Masters. So the outfall will still stay the same. So imagine that outfall pipe right there. It's about 600 feet, or excuse me, 600 feet of pipe. So it's actually 300 feet, but it's double-barreled 40-inch pipes. That's going to go there. Where'd it go? Right there. Yeah, so you can see that they've started laying out those pipes. That's going to be the outfall. This is the outfall that goes underneath the canal that I was just talking about. I'll kind of zoom around a little bit. That's the outfall. So the pond itself is going to be out here and then drain underneath the berm that we're going to create at the same height as the canal. There you go. That's a good one. You can see all of those. That's 48 inches. I mean, that's 4 foot diameter pipes. Those are big pipes out there, and they're going to be double barreled all the way through. And they've got, as you can see, they got their long arm right there. That's where it's going to go underneath. Oh yeah, look at that. I can zoom in. So that's where it goes. That's sort of the whole reason for this floodplain in the first place, getting underneath Gulf Coast Water Authority canals right there. So it doesn't do us any good to go any deeper. We're basically putting them at the same elevation as that for now. Where'd it go? So it's the last one. But we have really neat drone footage. If you want, I tried to run it on here, and it's a little sluggish. But if you want to see it, maybe we can figure out a way to put the link or something with Brooke to put that up on the website. It's pretty neat. I don't have too much to show you. We bought the pipe. We bought sand. We've bought a fuel tank that will stay out there so that they can load their fuel. We've got a porta potty, and that's going to be out there for them. So we're doing all of the staging. So all we need them to do is just get after it. And again, Jody kind of said to hold on as far as the fuel goes. They will be burning through a lot of fuel. It just depends on how many pieces of equipment they have going on any given day. But it could be $15,000 a week in fuel, which I thought my vehicle was expensive, but these just obviously burn through a lot of diesel. I think we're able to buy the red diesel, so at least it's a little bit cheaper since it's for off-road use. But that's kind of an update for now. Does that help?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Mike's not on, sorry. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0, thank you. And we move to the regular agenda. Consideration and possible action to approve the first of two readings of ordinance 2022-0-22, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Manvel, Texas, by amending Section 41-4 School Zones of the Code of Ordinances to revise the provisions pertaining to times and places for school zones, authorizing the enforcement of all state regulations, authorizing the placement of signs indicating the speed limits on the streets and portions of streets designated herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent or conflict herewith, providing a penalty of an amount not less than $1 or more than $200 for violation of any provision hereof, and providing for severability.
Mayor, and the chief has actually been working on this with the school district.
Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. A few weeks ago, myself and Dan met with the members of the AISD PD and some of their transportation districts. And we haven't done this in a couple of years. Every couple of years or so, we look at the school zones and see if we need to adjust or rework our school zone times or our speed limits. This year, what we looked at are some of the times of our school zones, mainly focused around the junior highs and Highway 6. And basically what we saw was that the times around the school zone times around the junior highs weren't long enough as far as the discharge times. Junior highs get out a little after 4:05, 4:10. We had the school zones till 4:30. The MUD code recommends a 45-minute time frame before and after school lets out. So what we did is we're requesting to increase the times to 5 o'clock around the junior highs. And being that the school zone on Highway 6 is not affected by the junior high because it has to be a road that is adjacent to the school in question, high school lets out at 3:05, so we reduced that time frame to 3:45 down Highway 6 instead of 5 o'clock that it's been for several years. So hopefully if we get this ordinance passed, we can get it over the school district. And this year is the year that TxDOT submitted a request for the calendar and the schools on times, an update. We can get that over the school district. We can get all that put in place. We can get it approved through TxDOT. Not approved through TxDOT. When the ordinance is approved, we can get it to TxDOT and we can get the schools on lights on the TxDOT roads to the correct times. You know, as y'all know, I don't know if y'all know it, but last year they were not on the correct times, and I submitted several requests, and they wouldn't fix it. So this year we're trying to get that taken care of.
It didn't go unnoticed by people in the city. So,
Oh.
and I'm glad you gave a perfect answer because I now have no questions. But I did get several calls from people in the city, and you addressed every one of them without me having to ask, so thank you.
As we did.
Great.
And I want to add a congratulations to the timely manner, getting this done before, way before time. So, okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Consideration and possible action to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2022-0-21, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Manvel, Texas, Chapter 71, Utilities, by adopting new rates for water and sewer, making other changes to the ordinance governing the provision of utilities within the City of Manvel, providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for any violation of any provision of this ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent or in conflict herewith, and providing for severability. I want to ask, Bobby, before we take a vote on this, do you see any reason for members of council who do not have city-provided water to abstain from voting?
No, the council's got exclusive jurisdiction over the regulatory. This is your regulatory authority and will affect anybody who's similarly situated in the city that can get the service. And hopefully we'll be able to extend that service to everyone one day, but you have to perform your function as a council, as a regulatory authority in setting the rates.
Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? Come on, everybody.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? And the motion carries 5-2. Thank you. All right. Consideration and possible action to approve Resolution 2022-R-10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Manvel, Texas, adopting a schedule of fees, rates, deposits, and other charges for zoning, plating, building, and other related matters, and repealing all resolutions in conflict herewith and other related matters. Jessica?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So we have the resolution for the fee schedule before you again. So what we did with this was, now that the utility rates have been adopted, we'd added this in the fee schedule as Exhibit C. So the rates as they were adopted in the ordinance on your previous agenda item, this is how they've been represented in Exhibit C. The other change that has been made had to do with a development permit fee, which otherwise was known as a fill dirt permit. This was an omission on the last round of updates that we did, that we had a lot of administrative things that were going on. This was an omission where the fee is currently $15 and city staff is proposing a fee of $100. So essentially someone who is bringing dirt to their property that is located outside of the floodplain, this is an application that you would submit. It's reviewed by engineering to ensure that we don't necessarily need a drainage plan, or it may say we need a grading plan. So that's what it gives us, that ability to review that we're not disturbing anyone's property offsite.
All right. Any questions?
Asking for a friend, for real. Your carports, in your definition of prefabricated, the buildings that have no sides to them, is that something that can be bought at like Home Depot or Walmart or anything like that? Is that the definition of these sizes when it comes to, or is it, I just want to know if it's standard, because I had somebody ask me, is it like something you would just buy out, or does it have to be measured specifically and built to these in order for them to comply with the city?
It would be something that's constructed with the home, or maybe in addition with the home. Under certain circumstances, I think if it's something that's under like 200 square feet, like if you had a shed, we don't require a permit for that. So,
As long as it's under these little parameters.
yes, ma'am.
It was just asking clarification for somebody. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, do I have a motion to approve? Larry?
Let me ask, if you're not in the floodplain and you wanted a load of dirt, you'd have to pay $100.
Yes, like Jessica said, we do review them, number one, to make sure that you're not in the floodplain. Now, this doesn't, if you're doing landscape, mulch, that kind of stuff, it doesn't count against you. It's mainly when you're bringing in, a load of sand, a load of select fill or something like that, to make sure you're not putting it right up against the edge of the property or those kind of things, that you're not blocking any of the flow. So, yes, is the short answer.
$100 seems like quite a bit, though, but you add that to the cost of the sand, and you're running into a lot of money.
But it's a lot of sand, right? For a lot of dirt.
Well, no, one load.
Like a big truck, like a truck.
Dump truck
Yeah,
of load.
because that's a lot. I'm just saying that's a lot of dirt.
Truck.
Dump truck is a truck. Versus somebody puts it in the back of their Chevy and shovels, that's different. But if somebody came with a dump truck, that's a lot of dirt.
on your yard, not on mine.
Not on yours, that's right.
That's what I'm talking about. So that would be different in the subdivision even. I don't know.
I'm not sure why you would need, well, I'm not sure why you would need it in a subdivision, hopefully. I would assume that when the developer has graded the lots, they have graded them to drain to be appropriate, so I don't know that they would be bringing any sort of fill dirt in order to do that.
Yeah, time change, everything changes with
Well,
time.
it's,
Talking about a
agree.
new house, sure, but 10 years from now, might be different. But I'm talking about me, actually.
Okay.
$100 on top of, God knows what sand costs, 200 and something bucks, I would think. For a load of
That's just the permit. It's not per truck.
No, but $100 plus the load of sand.
Okay.
I don't know if it helps any, but that's what's always been on the permit itself. For whatever reason, the fee schedule didn't jive with the permit. So it's always said that. That's what we've been collecting. Again, we're just trying to catch it up to make sure that they correspond with each other. Is that fair to say?
So we've been collecting more than what we authorized? Potentially. Oh, welcome to Pandora's box.
We've been collecting more.
Than what we authorized to charge.
Okay. So, a load of sand? On my property. What'd you say? In a truck. In a truck. Oh, okay. Okay, well, let's just move on. Do I have, in a Tonka truck. Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, we had, what was that? We had a 4-3? 4-3 in favor. Thank you very much. All right, do we have any council comments? All right. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second it.
Breaking records every week, you guys. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? I don't suppose there are any. So it's a 7-0, and thank you very much, and good evening. I need to tell this lady.